All right, everybody. So I've been telling Mike that the stuff is coming for quite a long time. I literally just finished watching this probably about an hour and a half ago. I cried. I cried again. It does not matter how many damn times I watch this. I still cry. It wasn't the stuff. It was the thing. And it's two words that almost bring me to tears every time I hear them. Mike, go ahead.
The episode is called Later, Buddy. Having temporarily stalled Viral and Thimmelf from the last skirmish, the Team Gurren and their newly arrived allies joined forces as Team Gurren and launch a decisive strike against the regrouping gunman force. The massive battle violently reaches its conclusion, but Kamina dies in the process.
Floor is yours, buddy.
This episode is awesome, but I also hate it.
Yeah.
To repeat a point that I made in the last episode, we're not even in the double fucking digits yet. We're still only at episode 8. And I even asked Brock off air, is this the stuff? And his reply was, no. This is just the thing.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to the stuff yet.
Not even close. We're about 6 episodes out.
And yet this felt like a season, like a series finale. At the very least, a season finale. Because this was like this was that like this episode was basically the lead up to the third act of a movie where the hero makes the big epic speech, and then they go charging into battle.
Yep. And yeah, go ahead.
But there's more. Fortunately, it only lasts this episode, but it's still a point that is a little bit frustrating. It's a bit of a love triangle, just a bit.
Just a bit. Yeah, that was one that I talked to you about. I don't know if that was on air or if that was not. This is the only time where taking age into consideration and this is a lot of like, you'll see it a lot more in season, and I believe I've mentioned this, you'll see it a lot more in season 2 of where these characters don't know how to handle certain life situations because they've literally never had a chance to experience them. And I want to say Simone's 12. I believe that we found out for sure. Like I said, they never say his age, but they quote that Yoko is 14, which I will never believe on my soul. But yeah, and you get to see they make it very poignant, and I keep forgetting to mention it in the reviews leading up to this one, that Yoko has been extra nice to Simone, always like trying to big him up because everyone is always talking about Kamina. And that starts getting into him thinking things aren't there, and then you have that moment where she's about to say something and she doesn't, and then that happens, and I was kind of like, you know what? Okay, I believe we mentioned the CW when we talked about this last, because boy, they love a good love triangle.
Yes.
This is the one time where I'm like, it's very obvious that Kamina finds Yoko attractive. Dayaka point blank calls it out, and so does Liran, that Yoko is most likely into Kamina from what they're reading. But you also see her being unbelievably super nice to Simone, and it's been obvious that Simone's like, oh, so that's what a woman that isn't just openly a douchebag to me because I'm a hard worker is like. And I was like, considering his age and the situation that they're in, this was the one time where I've seen a love triangle, and even though I still hate it as a plot device, I was kind of like, all right, I get it. They needed something to distract Simone that he would not want to talk about with Kamina until you get to see something that you mentioned last review you thought they should be making memes of. They did meme the ever-living shit out of I'm gonna make you. Let's see you grit those teeth. That got meme to shit. And yeah, but keep going.
I am glad that's a meme because we as we keep trying to point out, the show, while it does do the anime tropes, it's also a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the reason why I love this show, because it calling itself a comedy allows plot devices to fly off the handle.
Yeah.
But here's the only reason I'm frustrated by the love triangle is because I don't think Simone and Kamina need to have any tension other than, like, aside from the fight.
Yep.
But that being said, I appreciate how the plot kind of bent over backwards to make the love triangle important, because like when Simone is distracted, that hurts him in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
He can't like charge up his juices up to 100%.
Yep.
And so he's unable to control the Daigunzen, and that creates some tension in the episode.
Yeah.
But you're gonna ask me later in the show what I would do what I would do to change this. I would avoid the love triangle angle and just say that Simone has been he's just put under so much pressure because he's the one who's like responsible for basically saving the day.
Would you think that maybe since this is the other thing I was going to mention as a possibility, otherwise they've been showing a lot, at least in this episode and the one before, that Gimme and Dari really look up to him. Would you thought that maybe if they could have upped that and had him be more concentrated on Gimme and Dari in that situation, and like maybe have him struggling to get that going, that if he doesn't figure it out, they might die, kind of thing? Would you have preferred that?
Sure, because I've noticed that Gimme and Dari aren't really given enough to do since they left their village. Like I think between their exit and this episode, I think they've only had at most 2 minutes of screen time, if even that.
Yeah, like you said, outside of their time in the village, man, even including that, I think maybe they've only had 5. But yeah, especially like when they're leaving the village, everybody's upping Simone. I mean, everybody's up, like giving big ups to Kamina, and they're the only ones in the crowd going, "We love you, good luck," and But yeah, it's one of those things where everybody mutually likes this episode, but that's like one of the few things that they don't agree with how they handled it. And they use that situation for a couple of things later on, but it's after stuff is fixed and Yoko kind of brings it up. It's not a spoiler that they talk about it. I won't bring up how it gets brought up, but they do at least, I don't want to say understand that irritated some people. I think it was still their purpose for how they handle it later on, but it does get re-brought up between those two, and not a way that I dislike how certain shows other do it. It's just a real quick thing. But yeah, I'm gonna basically, like, I have very few points to bring up on this other than I just love the visual of like how this was like they're fighting in front of an active volcano in like a pressure zone, and the visuals in the background of like the volcanoes going off, and all of it was just great. And like I'll say the few things I like and then just let you keep going. It brought up my 2 favorite attacks in animes period are, 1, the Strike Laser Claw from Zoids.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously where you get with when I say Van, when you have the blades with the Blade Liger and Zero and Chaotic Sentry. But 2, and all of its but that was 2, and the one that is my favorite, and all of its iterations you will see throughout the show is the Giga Drill break, which proceeds to get even more ridiculous as the show goes on.
Oh yeah,
because it is animated with
imagine.
But like I said, that's what I needed to get out. You go ahead.
About the volcano, that's probably the best like visual metaphor for the situation that they could have done for this episode. Because volcanoes will erupt under a lot of pressure, and that's exactly the situation right now. Because trying to commandeer one of the 4 spiral, I'm gonna just call them spiral generals.
There we go. That's fine.
Because generals of the Spiral King just seems a bit too wordy.
I get what you're saying. It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, commandeering one of the Dai Gunzens is not an easy task, and it takes literally an army or a ragtag team of copycats to complete this mission. And I really just want to brush right to the ending, because
that's fine. If you want to talk about it, go ahead.
I keep having to bring this up. We're only at fucking episode 8.
Yeah, I know. A quick aside, then I'll let you go. I swear I brought this up about my buddy messaging me while he was watching the show. He stopped at 7. Messaged me and went, "I'm pretty sure Yoko has a crush on Kamina. I can't wait to see where they go moving forward." He stopped at 9 p.m. and messaged me that. I got up for work the next morning, and then at my first break at 9 o'clock, I had a torrent of text messages going, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then he does it again later on, but we'll get to that one. Go ahead.
Seriously though, if you thought Game of Thrones or Walking Dead killed off characters too soon, this is only episode 8, and we've lost Kamina.
Yep.
It hurts. It hurts.
It does.
But what I'm excited about is seeing how Simone evolves after this. But yeah, losing Kamina after everything he's done for Simone, being that inspiration, in such a short time, we've got to see their relationship really develop. And I said in the last review that episode 7 was kind of where their relationship really comes to a head. Yeah, I was not expecting to lose Kamina so soon.
Yeah, and when you told me that you had partially watched the show but never finished, in my head I was like, tell me he never made it past episode 5. Because I was like, I want this to be a fresh reaction.
Yeah, no, this is as fresh as you're gonna get.
Yep. It's I will admit, when I first saw this, I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch the show anymore. I was like, I love everybody in it, but that pissed me off. And I was like, oh.
And by the way, for added context, we're recording this on World Mental Health Day, and B, before I was watching these 2 episodes, I was getting through the Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. which is another. Well, it's Mike Flanagan, so there's going to be some spooky stuff. But if you've seen The Haunting of Hill House, this is it gets heavy. It gets really heavy. I'll be talking about that more on a separate podcast, but this is just to give you back context of where my head is at watching Gurren Lagann and expecting that was going to be my escape, only to realize, oh no, I was dead wrong.
And then the extra added, they don't do it often, but when they need to convey emotion, like when we were in what was it called? What was the name of Rocio's village again? If they ever said it. They said it was Jiha Littner. I don't know if they ever said the name of his village. If they do, I'm forgetting.
I'm trying to look up the. It's the. Chitorit? No, that can't be right.
Either way, it's Rocio's village. They shifted the color to be all basically black and white. And then at the end of this, after Kamina dies, they don't shift the color. Well, they do a little, but they cut the audio out completely. And then you get to hear a sad and somber Simone from the future speaking of what they lost that day. And it's like, there's never been a moment in the show like that where they're just point blank like, they still won that fight, but they felt like they might as well have lost it. And that was the first moment where I went, this is a show that is a parody and is very much comedy heavy. There's going to be some moments where it's going to kick me in the nuts and I'm not going to see it coming. This was the very first time they did it.
For those who are watching this series but haven't seen Gurren Lagann, to more accurately describe the show's sense of humor, yes, the show is a parody of mech anime, but it's a parody more like an Edgar Wright film, or like how Firefly has it's a space western, but it has like a sense of humor.
Yep.
It's more that tone than like Spaceballs, but what they all have in common is it's the characters that you latch onto. It's the characters that even though this is it's a parody, the characters are so endearing, and their arcs are taken seriously. So that's what helps you stay invested. I mean, actually, the Harley Quinn animated series is another example of it's a comedy, but it's also emotional.
Yep, it's what I tell people where it's like, it's this, Delian and Franks, Neon Genesis Evangelion to a point where, at least with mechs, and like you said with Harley Quinn, the show obviously has, what I want to say, genre. This is a mech show. It's got the cool mech fights. But at the end of the day, outside of the every 6th or 7th where they really go out of control and spend the animation budget, you're talking about the characters that inhabit them and not the fights.
Mm-hmm.
The mechs are the thing that move the show forward so you can experience what happens with the ragtag group before, after, and during the mech fights. Because at the end of the day, you do love the mechs and stuff like that, but when I'm talking with people about the show, I talk about Simone, I talk about Kamna, I talk about Yoko, I talk about Liran, and I'm sure what the designs of the mechs are, but the thing that helps me the most, especially with me, like I say, I wear this damn thing every day gladly because it helps me through a lot when I'm thinking about just not being great. It's what they stand for and stuff like that, and that just... But the visual of Simone walking toward the volcano when the Daigunzen's taken over and he's like, my bro's dead. What the hell was the point of this? I'm done. And then literally 80% dead. Kamina just goes, guy can't get any damn sleep around here. Gets up on his deathbed pretty much and goes, turn this damn thing around now. And we're ending this. I'm not letting you do something stupid. Believe in yourself, damn it. You're going to have to do this without me. You are as good as you need to be, and I don't need to be here. You can do this. And then dies. I was like...
the specific line that gets to me is when he says, don't believe in the Simone that believed in Kamina. Don't believe in the Kamina that believes in Simone. Believe in the Simone that believes in you.
Yep. That not being a spoiler, that line gets repeated a couple other key times, and it's some of the fucking best moments in this series. The word believe might as well be the tagline of this show, and that's why I love it so much. When you talk about mental health and awareness, there's a reason I watch this show every month in January. It's to start the show, my year off fresh, start my birthday week off fresh, and just, it's a palate cleanser. It's like, go and try. I don't give a shit what happened this year. You go and do what you have to do. Because, like I said, I watch this thing in like a day and a half chunk. It's on my birthday every year. I request whatever days they are off. I sit and just watch through it. It don't matter what's in my head mentally. It's gone. It never fails. And I can't thank Gainax enough. I will be lightly fluffing Gainax throughout this entire thing, but when we get to the end of this, you're going to probably see a 10-minute speech from me about how much this really means by when I talk about just all the shit that, like all the tumblers that finally lock, that like seal the safe and just crack it open when this final episode hits. It's the damn best. I can't. It is so hard to not just full blown talk about the whole show because I know we're doing this 2 episodes at a time. But anyway, yeah, like you said, other than, okay, before we get to the changing part, because this is obviously one of the most like crap happened episodes ever. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think of other stuff to bring up.
Were you okay? Here's another one. Were you expecting them to kill off Tim Elf that fast?
Maybe after like one more episode. Okay, because he's one of 4 generals, I figured like his expiration date was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a good place to kill him because there's only 26 or 27 episodes.
27 episodes if you take out the like I said, the one that's just the animation drawings and the like recap. I believe it's 27. I either always screw it up and it's 28 and 27, or it's 27 and then it's technically 26. I believe it's technically 27.
Anyway,
yeah.
There's only that much like content. So I figured there's 4 generals, and I think we're about like a fourth of the way there. Like
technically. So
sure, okay. We see him in we meet him in episode 7. They fight. He dies in episode 8. 1 down, 3 more to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Figured I'd at least ask, because some people are always like, I wish you would have lasted longer and all that stuff. I'm like, he technically has a 4. And again, we're only in episode 8. He has a 4th the amount of episode numbers at Kamina got. Which is saying a lot.
Now I will say this. If he was like either second in command or like or we met like all 4 of the generals at the same time, then I would have been like, what the hell? We only see him for like 4 minutes total and then he's gone.
Yeah.
But knowing kind of getting a rhythm of how the show works, I'm okay with with him being gone this quick.
Yeah. They always have a bigger, better threat to go on with. And then obviously long-standing ones because, as you noticed, Viral didn't die.
Oh, yep. That's right.
And I forgot to mention it last episode, how we talked about how he's obviously not the big guy, and you're going to start to notice a trend with him whenever these battles come up. He's always just kind of there. He never is the guy that gets to do the thing. But that moment, and I forgot to mention it in yesterday, technically last week's review when you're watching this, but it was only like 20 minutes ago, when he's sitting there talking to Tim Milth, and all of a sudden he's like, "What? You can't catch your nerve?" And Gurren Lagann just backhands him away. I'm like, you were having an honest to God fight before, and now for comedy's sake, he's just getting backhanded away. And then he runs away up into the express elevator to get up into freaking Daigunzen. Or the Gurren, which, sorry, spoiler alert, it will be called now. It moves at a pretty even clip, let's say. But and I'm waiting to see your opinion on how it goes from here, because from what you just told me and what I'm not telling you, it's gonna move differently than what you think it does.
Oh,
and it's in a good way. It's not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way. No, it takes a surprisingly weird turn when I knew how long the show was going to be. And then they start doing things in a certain way, and I'm like, what are you leading towards? But anyway, other than the love triangle, which you mentioned, other than having Kamina for 7 more episodes, what would you change?
I think those two are my biggest things, because yeah, it sucks to have lost Kamina this soon, but I get that that's important for Simone to grow as a character, and to be less passive of a protagonist. Yeah.
That was it always hit me when I was watching it. Like, I got it. I realized it when the show, I want to say secondary watches afterwards, but like the narrator in the beginning was always like, this is its tale of a man yet to realize his destiny. I always thought that offhandedly they were talking about Kamina the first time I watched it. And then I was kind of like, no, I'm a moron. He's been talking about Simone that entire time, because yet to realize it. Yeah, his destiny is to lead this group now because Kamina's not around anymore, and it ain't gonna be Keaton trying to pull this shit together.
when you look at Simone's character design, it's painfully obvious that he is the protagonist. Kamina just happens to be the more charismatic supporting character.
Yes, it does. And I have no idea, and I will never get confirmation if this is why they did it. But in my headcanon, it's why they did it. Other than the fact that he's a driller, it's why he has them. But you watched Digimon, correct?
I've seen it, yes.
Every freaking protagonist that counts. And you'll know what I mean by that if you've seen every episode or every series of Digimon. Every main protagonist wears goggles.
Hold on, I'm gonna look. Keep talking. I'm just gonna pick 3 random series. Not even in a row. Just 3 random ones.
Yep. It's like you'll always notice, and they almost never wear them, but they always have goggles on. And you'll notice, other than the fact that he's a driller, Simone has a kickin' pair of, if I could get the visuals right, a kickin' pair of goggles that you see right there. The main guy's always got goggles on, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's a throwback to Digimon or if he just has goggles because he's a driller and he keeps them. But he's got goggles on, and that made my heart happy. I was like, the main boy has to have goggles.
Yeah. I tried to pick the most random Digimon ones. So I picked obviously Digimon Adventure.
Yep.
Then Digimon Frontier, and then Digimon Universe at Monsters. All 3 of them have goggles.
They all have goggles, and they almost never wear them. Simone's about the only one that ever actually puts the damn goggles on because he has a reason to. But yeah, and you even have a somewhat version of it with Kamina because he's got his damn shades.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's seeing how, and again, we're gonna in this next episode, I'm interested for the perspective of how they handle it because of how you said they've handled certain things in the past, of how you're gonna deal, or I should say, how you're going to feel about the next two episodes because they're very different. You get a very new thing and you get a different version of an old thing. And the two episodes feel incredibly different because of how Simone handles all of this. And I was reading up on interviews and stuff like that afterwards, and they very much do things differently to make you feel how Simone's feeling or how characters are feeling towards Simone. And I didn't quite get that the first time I watched through it, but I understand it now. Though obviously, once I've rewatched it, I was kind of like, yeah, they set that mood because they want you to be in his shoes and everybody else's for how he's dealing with the person that has been essentially his best friend, his brother, and his parent for most of his life. Because I don't think they ever get a context for how long it's been since
they met.
Well, since they've met, also since how long Simone was without his parents.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had to be of at least working age. So I assume it's maybe at max like 4 years. So maybe they met afterwards. But yeah, it's basically his main support outside of all of these new people. Like the only one he's known, and it's been maybe for like 2 weeks, is Yoko. And Yoko is also dealing with the fact that the guy she just confessed her love to, I'm going to guess at this point it's the first guy. I've never read the manga that they've read about the series afterwards, but I don't think they ever delve into anything beforehand. She's dealing with it also, so he has literally no one. I don't think he hasn't had conversations with anybody outside of this, so he can't deal with losing Kamina and talk to someone else because who he would talk with would be Kamina.
Yeah, that... I'm just imagining if I was put in like a similar situation, like if I only had like one confidant like that, and I don't know if I'd be able to handle losing them.
Yeah, especially in a situation where their lives are at stake every day, and you were second in command and never wanted to be anything else. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm quite looking forward to how we do those because if I'm thinking in my head correctly, those will be the two episodes that are right before I'm trying to think of before one of my favorite, like, I get it kind of moments that a character has. And it's one of their big shining, I'm getting better type of things. It's one of my favorite moments that one of the characters has in the entire show for development, not only for them, but for how you should think about situations. And yeah, but anyways, this is our first episode that cleared a half an hour, if I'm wondering correctly. So yeah, like just wait till we get to, I believe it's 14 episodes. Or 14 episodes? It's 13 or 14 episodes in the first season. That last season, especially the talking points of what we learn in like the last like 5 minutes of that episode are going to take a bit. I never expected us to have it this early to have one that actually lasted longer than the episode itself did.
Right.
But hey, I'm happy with that. I'm just glad we get to do this and that we're for the most part, I want to say we're both mutually enjoying it, but I'm respecting the fact that there is stuff that you think could have been done differently. Because when I talk to people about it, I don't know if they're like, that don't want to hurt my feelings and like, I love the show that much that they don't want to bring stuff up. And I'm always like, I'm willing to talk about stuff. Just because I love the show doesn't mean I won't admit that there's stuff that I would do differently. I myself wish there's a version of this show where Kamina never dies. I 100% get why he does because it's crucial to Simone's development. But yeah, it sucks. But yeah, anyway, yeah, but we're going to get more into that. Like I said, that will be for any of you watching this on YouTube. I saw a couple people poking their heads in there. That'll be next. We're going to try and keep these every Saturday. Should keep working out because if we're keeping it at an even clip, 27 more episodes. We're at episode 8. Should have like 10, 12 more recordings. No, less than 10.
Something like that.
Something like that. So I'm thinking there might only be one weekend where we have to do it at a different point because I will be out of town in December for one weekend. And even though November 12th is when the PS4 comes out, we'll be done way before December. No, we will not. But anyway, the only reason I won't skip just because the PS5 comes out on the 12th of next month. We will still be recording, even though I'm taking off work the days before in that weekend, because let's just say I'm a little excited. But anyway, this was one of the best discussions we've had so far, because obviously it's been the one that had the most context. But everyone, like I said, I'm having a ton of fun doing this. Mike, where can they reach you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK482. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And look for me in all of the various Facebook groups, just at my name, including our Facebook group for Renegade Pop Culture. You can listen to all our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them. Last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com, where you'll find these episodes posted and other content. Need an escape? So do we.
Yes. And Mike will need one after the episodes of content he has just been taking in recently.
And we'll continue after this.
Yes, absolutely. Man. Anyway, but yeah, and then you can find me at everything at Organoid Zero, mainly my Twitch. Got all my Twitch badges finally. I just got to wait for Twitch to approve them. So whenever they come up, so if anyone subscribes to them, I finally got my Twitch badges figured out. And I'm pretty damn happy with how they turned out. I kind of base them roughly off of Arrow. Like you'll see if you turn this one, it's the Arrow emblem or the style of broadhead that was in the Arrow logo. So then I kind of just used how they did during the seasons where like the Arrow logos change. I kind of did the same thing. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm happy with how it turned out. You can see me there. You can see me on this YouTube channel, which if you aren't watching this live is kind of redundant because this might have happened anywhere between a week before or like 6 weeks before. Yeah, and all the groups in Renegade, the podcasts and stuff like that, I'm getting a lot more involved. Thankful to Kiona, Mike, obviously, for suggesting me to him. I've been getting involved a lot more. Just check it out. Everybody that's involved with that does super hard work. It is great content. I'm quite looking forward to talking about The Boys. Last week to when this is recorded, the time frame is going to be so screwed up for how these get released. But yeah, just check out Renegade Pop Culture. You'll find both of us there. I greatly appreciate it. Everybody who has been checking in on these. I love you all. Spin on. I'll see you next time.
Peace.